What's fine? Are you gonna make them fine, smart?
No, I just like her call back.
Yeah.
It's good. That's sad. Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. My wife are actually rewatching that right now.
Yeah.
But only from season 3.
On whose traditional and unceded territories we live, we learn, we play, and we do our work. First item on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda, which is circulated. Can I get a motion to approve that, please? It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion or changes? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. District presentations. I think we're going to keep rolling through to number 5, reports from senior management, starting with the annual facilities grant and Secretary Treasurer Ketchum.
Thank you. Included in your packages is the annual facilities grant expenditure plan. This is the annual grant we get from the Ministry of Education to maintain our buildings. It comes with a number of different categories for which we can submit expenditures for, including areas such as accessibility or electrical upgrades, HVAC upgrades, so on and so forth. This year, our grant totaled $1.6 million, and you can see the total breakdown within your packages. A good chunk of the proposed plan does involve some work surrounding Queen Elizabeth Elementary, and that's intentional to be able to dovetail work with the new addition that's expected to be well underway through next year. So the addition will be complete, and then the original main building will also have a number of painting upgrades, lighting upgrades, interior touch-ups, so on and so forth. We also have other monies earmarked for portable placements for site prep. Again, the operational dollars cover off the actual portables themselves, but the site prep work for portable placements does come out of annual facilities grant, and you can see that is a little over $200,000. Other highlights of note include the accessibility upgrades that we'll be doing to some sites that have the knob style into lever type locks. So again, quite pleased to be able to complete off that project, and those have been changes we've been making over a period of time. This does not require board approval. It is simply information for sharing. Every year we put forward our best laid plans on what we expect to do for the upcoming year. On occasion, things come up that we might have to pivot to, but for the most part, we do very much try to adhere to the plan as we are able to. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
This was, oh, no, it is working. Okay. I'm just a couple of questions. Has the portable placement, the site prep always come out of AFG?
It has, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, the costs related to those have increased over time with the requirement for things like ramps and the need to create accessibility pathways between portable sites and the main school building.
Okay. And I'm just wondering, I guess this probably isn't, but I'm now just looking at things with an accessibility view through that lens a little bit more, being on that committee. And I'm just wondering if this is the place or if there's somewhere else to kind of identify some of the upgrades that are going to be done that have an accessibility fix to them. So
Yes, it can. So if there are recommendations coming forward by the committee, certainly would encourage the committee's participation and involvement of the director of facilities. That way he's included as part of the work and planning of the committee and can potentially earmark some funds annually for projects that are identified.
okay, great. Yeah. And we have done that. I'm just wondering, because we wanted to kind of be able to track going forward things that have been done, and some have been addressed already that were quick fixes, didn't require AFG funds, but or grants. But yeah, I don't know if this is the right place, and perhaps you or the superintendent to just kind of draw out, so for future reference we can quickly access like accessibility updates and upgrades that have been done in the district, just to kind of.
We can absolutely, and we could probably go back a little bit and see what's been done over the course of the last few years and provide that data over time, but absolutely we can reflect it there.
Trustee Carlson.
I just have a couple of quick questions, as now I'm, trying to find efficiencies with money. Were there any rebates, or will there be rebates applied for the LED lights?
Sorry, Trustee Carlson, I'm going to get back to you on that one. I'm not sure if there are rebates in relation to this particular project.
Okay. And my second question is about contractors. Are we using contractors for any of this work? And if so, are we able to use any in-house staff?
Certainly where we are able to, we use in-house staff. There is a meeting between our facilities department and usually the union, including HR, to sort of discuss those contracting out works prior to the summer season.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions or comments, I'm going to move to our next presentation from the international program, and welcome Trevor G. Can you just, you'll need to use the microphone, please. Thank you. Yeah, if you just hold it down till it turns green. There you go.
I'm green. Awesome. Great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much again this year for the opportunity to come out and speak with you about the International Education Program. I have a few slides that you can see there, and I'd like to speak about a few things tonight. First of all, I'd like to talk about some of the successes we've had from this past school year, as well as our planning going into next school year and the school year after that. So as you can see from the slides up there, we're very happy to see that we have some new representatives for our program in the Czech Republic, in Taipei, in Spain, and Thailand. The high school international education program is very agent driven. Therefore, the more really good relationships we can develop in our target countries, usually that will result in more students coming to our program. So we're happy to see that. We do have an increase in countries which have graduating students. As you may have heard me say before, what we're really striving for is to have students who come to our program who want to do the graduation program. Those are students who will be in our program for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. Needless to say, a student that continues into the next year or following years is a student that's good for our program, for our school community, and for our homestay families. We do have a little decrease in the overall number of students coming to our program to graduate, which I can speak to in a little bit. Very happy to say that, as you all know, our NWSS band went to Japan over the spring break, and I was very happy to be able to get some funding from the British Columbia Council for International Education to help support that very successful trip to Japan. As usual, we've got really good student engagement in our trips and activities. We have students volunteering all across the school district right now. We've got 2 carnivals coming up at Lord Tweedsmuir and Connaught Heights, and our students are staffing those carnivals, and they love to do it, not just for the volunteer hours, but they like to be engaged in the community. We've also got students working at the movie nights, I believe at Lord Kelvin, and the after-school cooking programs, and that's been a really good success story. And lastly, I'd like to also say that myself and my colleague, Sarah Dick, we've been able to arrange and begin our first domestic student exchange program between NWSS and a quite well-known school in Sendai, Japan, which will begin from next year. So it's famous for baseball in Japan and for sports overall. So we're really happy to get that going. Next slide, please. You can see some of the numbers that we have here. It's a bit of a comparison from 2024-25 to next school year. And the first thing I want to say is please don't panic when you see this, particularly Bettina. Our goal for 2024-2025 was 160 students. When the dust settled, we had 168.5 FTE. Now, going right as of today, going into next school year, our FTE goal is 180. Our actual as of this morning is 142.5. However, please don't think that we're finished. We never close. We're always entertaining new applications to our program. And right now, that does not include our second semester students for next year. And it also does include the FTE for our summer program. It does not include the FTE for students doing summer school. And we also have a new sister school arrangement with a group, or rather with a school in China, which we're hoping to see at least 10 students out of that for 2 years. So we are making progress. As I say, this is not a done deal. We do have April 1st and November 1st as our dates, our cutoff dates, mainly so students don't have any trouble getting study permits. But as every day, all of our staff, we are taking inquiries for the following, for this coming September, as well as for following years, which I'll speak to as well. You can see some of the numbers there. Sorry. Back there just for a shake. Now, some of these numbers you can see are one-offs. We've got Albania. We're not going to have too many students coming from Albania, but we're very fortunate because we have a very multicultural community here, where if someone has a relative, as this fellow did, from Albania living here, the student comes to our program, and he's been in our program for 2 years, I believe. You can see down there, Australia, we have an excellent relationship with a company out of Europe called WEP, World Education Programs, I believe it is, and they have offices all over the world. And we actually have our third student from Australia coming to NWSS in September. So that's something that we're really happy with. You can see, I was mentioning before, new agents. We have some new agents in the Czech Republic, and that's resulting in some numbers going up there. Now, I mentioned to you before about graduating students. We really value our graduating students. We value all of our students, needless to say. But what we're seeing these days is we're seeing kind of the fall off of graduating students due to our federal government's announcements about international students in the post-secondary sector. And that the K to 12 is absolutely immune from any kind of caps on students. But unfortunately, what's happened is the message has gone out there that there's very limited post-secondary space. So students who would be considering coming to Canada and doing our graduation program, those particularly from China and other Asian countries, the message they've received is there's no space in post-secondary. Therefore, they're kind of leery about coming to our graduation program and finishing graduation and not being able to continue into post-secondary. So that's a message, that's a communication issue that our national association called CAPSI is dealing with IRCC. And we're hoping that we can get that fixed. When we go out and do our marketing visits, we're also telling people that, oh, no, there's lots of space. I know right now, if one of our students decides to go to Langara in the fall, they probably have a parade for them. They're looking for numbers into that extent. So this slide there, thank you. 2026-27 goals and objectives. We're not even into the 2025-2026 school year, but right now we're starting to work on the following school year. Just yesterday, I got the first application for September 2026 from Germany. Europe is very, very organized when it comes to their planning. Our goal is still 180 students at this time. We want to maintain our numbers from our really solid markets of Japan, Italy, Spain, and Germany. Keep building relationships with our agents in China, Taiwan, Thailand, and Vietnam, and support our smaller markets to maintain a diverse program. We're never going to get a lot of students from Bolivia. We're not going to get a lot of students from Peru or some of these other countries where there are international programs, but we want to be able to give them attention so that they are remembering us. We don't have the budget to go and visit them, nor would I suggest visiting them just because of the size of the market. But it's important to keep those connections going with those countries. And if they visit to our program, if they come to the school, we treat them with lots of hospitality and welcome them and show them all the great things that we have here. 2026-27 key markets, graduating students. We're still working on those graduating students, 2+ years. Also, students that do not require homestay are also very important. We have an awesome homestay program, but what happens is we run out of homestay families very quickly. And although Eva, our homestay manager, she's working on homestay family recruitment, it's a tough slog to keep those numbers up. Countries to maintain and manage: China, Japan, Italy, Germany, Spain, Mexico. WEP is that big company in Europe I was mentioning. They have involvement in many, many countries, and they're one of our strongest agents around the world, but definitely in Europe. Markets to countries to maintain and grow: Czech Republic, France, Poland, Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, and you'll see that represented in our visits here. So we do a variety of visits throughout the year. And I have this slide there that says, how do our students find us? So how do students find the new Westminster School District? Now, there's a variety of ways. Number one, word of mouth. Probably that is one of our strongest marketing methods. And we've got many brothers and sisters of students who have been to our program in the past who are in the program now. We have students, our current students, who have friends in surrounding districts, and they've heard about our district. They've heard about our high school and everything that we have to offer there, the awesome electives, the programs there. And although we're not looking to take other districts' students, needless to say, we have had other students' districts change to our school because they like what we do. So that's a positive, of course, for us. Agent visits and tours. You'll see on the left-hand side of the slide some of the places we went to last year. And this year we managed to do 7 visits. They're all very short. I went to Germany in October. My colleague Sarah went to Northern Italy. Eva went to China. Where did I go? I went to Japan, and Sarah was off to Spain. Pardon me, she went to Asia. She was in Taipei and Vietnam, and Thailand and Seoul. That was one trip. That was a short trip, but she did a lot in 10 days. And Ewan, just recently, he was in China meeting with our agents, and he was solidifying that new sister school arrangement that we're hoping to get those students coming to our program from this year. And yeah, so 2025 coming up. We have fewer visits this year, but they're still very valuable. Eva's our homestay manager, and Eva's in the bottom left slide there. Sarah's in the bottom right slide, and of course that's me up at the top there with one of our agents from Spain. That was in Frankfurt in October. And Eva's our homestay manager, but she has generously offered to look after the Chinese end of the marketing and looking after those Chinese students after Ewan leaves our program in September. She's doing a wonderful job with that. She's going to do a fair in Shanghai and Beijing. Sarah's off to Poland, Denmark, and Paris. That's doing the WEP tour, that agency again. We do have the one student from Poland in our program this year, and we're hoping to have that student participate in that fair that Sarah's going to go to. And we're hoping again to work on growing students from that country there. Can we go back just for 2 seconds there to there? Yeah, awesome. And I'm not sure if the team can just want to look at that one more second, maybe later. Yeah, one slide back very briefly. Yeah, sure. And so one more slide forward, please. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. Turbulence. It's plain turbulence. There you go. That's right. I think that's it. Yep. Yeah, you betcha. That's it there. I will make my annual trip to Japan. Sarah's off to again to Taipei, Bangkok, back to Seoul again, and then in Czech Republic next spring. It's very valuable also to plan these things out now and buy your plane ticket now. And I assure you, nobody's going business class. We're all on economy, and we're doing our best to maximize the value out of our marketing funds. But every visit is, you hit the ground running, you do what you need to do, and then you're out of there. It's time away from family. It's jet lag, heartburn, all the rest of that stuff. So we do what we need to do, have do our fares, and then we're back on the plane, back home as soon as possible, because things are waiting for us here. I sent out to everyone last Friday an invitation to our cultural day next week, and that's going to my, the replies are going to my colleague, Eva. So I'm not seeing the replies. I did get yours. Thank you very much. And if you have time next week, I know it's kind of short notice. Please drop by next Wednesday after school, 4 till 5:30. And as you saw with our support of the band trip and with the Japanese exchange program, and also with this year's cultural festival, is we're trying to get slowly but surely, we're getting local students involved in that as well. So this year we've got some local students from India. We have a few guys from Kurdistan, believe it or not, Colombia. We've got more and more students, local students, getting involved in this as well, and that's what we all ultimately wanted to do, is make this a school thing, not just an international student thing. So it's always baby steps, but we're making progress on that. And last slide is I just want to do a shout out to our staff, Sarah Dick, my colleague, and I would call her our de facto assistant manager. She's amazing. She does so many things there. She's our marketing manager, but she does absolutely everything. An amazing problem solver. Eva Shen, homestay manager. And I tell you, there's probably not many more difficult human relation jobs than being a homestay manager. I tell you, I always say that once you're finished being the homestay manager, you can go work in the UN, I think, and solve the world's problems. But as I mentioned before, as Ewan will be leaving our program in September, but Eva has stepped up to look after the Chinese students, as well as looking after the country of China. Our amazing secretary, Naomi, she is a stickler for detail. When I receive an application for our program that comes through Naomi, I know that it's 100% perfect by the time it gets to me. So, and I can ask Naomi to do something and she'll have it done for you in 5 minutes. So she's like a machine. So can't run without her. Ewan, as I say, is leaving our program, but he is graciously still powering away, working for our program, doing the best he can for the financial end of things, as well as doing his best for teaching us some of the things that we're going to pick up after he's gone. And he's also working hard to keep our program's name out there too. So that's it for me. I would welcome any questions that you may have.
Trustee Andres.
Thanks for all the hard work of you and your
Yep.
team. So was Trevor. I just had a quick question going back to enrollment. If a student's joining us partway through the year, do they still pay full tuition?
They would pay half the year's tuition. We do not offer any partial programs. In the old days when we had lots of space, we might have a short-term 1 or 2 month program, but now it's only one semester or the whole year. So, but to answer your question, there is one exception to that. And that is, we have a student who is continuing in our program in September, and she's joining grade 10 in September, and she will be in our program for 3 years from September. She's from Japan, and the Japanese school year ends at the end of March. So those students, they have from April until September open. And some of those students, their parents choose to send them to maybe a language school, or maybe they'll do a little bit of senior high school in Japan before they come to our program. But in some cases, in one case, we were able to accept a student to our program for April, May, and June at a prorated tuition rate into classes that had space, ELL, PE, and I think an art program. Yeah.
Sure, Trustee Sluice.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't have a question, Trevor, but I just wanted to share that I was at a track meet on Friday, and there were a couple of international students who were participating in events. And I just think that really speaks to the quality of staff and probably homestay situations. They are, fully integrated and making big contributions
Excellent.
at that track meet. So
Yep.
thanks.
That's great. No, our goal when we start our program in September, when students enter the program, is get involved, whether it's a club, a team, volunteering, whatever it is. And we're really happy when we see students that are involved in things like track and field. I think there are 2 students from Spain, if I remember correctly. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I'd like to hear those comments. Thank you very much. It's great.
Trustee
Yeah.
Carlson.
Thank you. Can you tell me who will be taking over Ewan's financial management part of that job?
We did have a meeting with Amy about a week and a half ago, and some of what Ewan is doing will be absorbing within the office. Things like the insurance programs, as well as some of the things that we can manage easily in the office, like doing our receipting for people who come in the door with maybe a payment, as well as some creation of invoices when students are renewing. Other parts will be worked on with the board office here in the financial department at the board office. Those things haven't exactly been ironed out, but that is my understanding. That is the plan.
Okay, thank you. I want to recognize that the International Student Program brings in important revenue. But I'll be honest, I had a hard time when I looked at the agenda and saw 7 overseas marketing trips last year and 6 for this upcoming year, given how stretched our resources are in other areas.
Oh,
I think Superintendent Davidson wants to address that.
Just the international program is not only self-sustaining, but it produces profits that offset costs to the system. So all of those trips are covered within the international student tuition. In fact, the program contributes hundreds of thousands of dollars in addition to its own costs to the operations of the system. So that it's in short, it's self-sustaining and then some.
Okay, thank you.
Trustee Slin.
Thanks for your presentation, Trevor. You may have mentioned this last year. I was just so curious. You mentioned target countries. Is that basically, do we target the countries that have, like, I guess, most return for the students to come, like Japan and China and things like that? And is that my understanding correctly?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I can also say when we see that there's something happening in a new country, for example, if you hear about something happening I've heard good things happening in Chile, that there's more students now considering studying in Canada. And we won't be the first people to go there. With respect to the marketing budgets, we're very careful with the money that we use for our visits, and we would never go to a country that's maybe going to be productive for us. We would let the larger districts that maybe have deeper pockets for those kinds of things to get things going there. And if it does show from our research that there's something there for us, then we might do a follow-up trip in the future. Further to that, as I've said before, every student in our program is important to us. But from a business point of view, 1 semester students, 1 year students, graduating students. As I mentioned, the graduating students are the most important from a revenue point of view. 1 year students, and then probably the countries where students are coming for 1 semester would get the least attention from our marketing, from our budget for marketing, for sure.
And I can just ask one more question. I'd heard of this, I can't remember the name, but there's these programs, because you mentioned word of mouth being kind of like the greatest tool that we have. Is they're like social platforms where international students that are, say, in their home country can also just it's like a Facebook for international students.
Right.
Do we utilize those sort of tools where students that have come can?
We don't really want to get into how can I say, students can do whatever they want to do within reason, of course. And we have had students through agencies who have given their own testimonials to their programs. Eva from our program, she maintains a very good Instagram account, just showing what we're doing for activities and things like that. But we haven't gone the route of YouTube and things like that unless students are doing it related to their agencies. Yeah, not at all.
Trustee Connolly.
I was just curious if we are noticing or hearing any kind of scuttlebutt with regards to how things are in the US right now, and will that be kind of trickling down that we might get some students who are looking more to Canada?
That's a very good question. We haven't really seen a bump in that yet. European students love coming to Canada. So I think right now our numbers from Europe are strong because of what we have to offer. The United States still maintains a very positive draw for post-secondary students. And I think, again, that is, if a student wants to do post-secondary, if that's their goal, they might go to the United States with the idea that they're doing the SATs, the high school, and all the rest of that stuff. But that's a very good question. But to this point, no, we have not. No. Yeah. Sure.
Trustee Carlson.
My last question, is the Thursday the same time, 4 to 5:30?
Good question. The Wednesday afternoon from 4 to 5:30 is for homestay families and dignitaries such as yourselves. And the Wednesday morning is A and B block for the students at the school to come and visit. But you're, of course, welcome.
The
And,
Thursday, you mean, is A and B block?
A and B block in the morning. Yes, that's
for
right.
Thursday. Okay, thank you.
Good. You're welcome.
Great.
Great.
Well, thank you so much.
No,
for
thank
taking
you.
the Time
Thank
and
you.
come and present. It's always a bit of a highlight. We really appreciate hearing
great.
about the program, and kudos
Awesome.
to the whole team.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate your time for me to be able to come here and chat tonight. Okay.
Thank you. We have the Sanctuary Schools report on the agenda, and I don't think we have a presenter. Superintendent Davidson. All right, over to you.
So it's my pleasure to submit this report on behalf of Leslie. Everyone here probably knows Leslie. Leslie is this amazing combination of a giant brain and a giant heart, and she produced an excellent report. And so I'll speak just briefly to the highlights that jumped out at me. And it may be that there are detailed questions I would need to take back to her because, well, she knows all of the things. But what I found fascinating in reviewing it was the increase in number of families from 6 to 75 over the years since 2021. Individual students and families from 5 to 58 families. We have students who start for the most part at the start of the year, and then some who arrive throughout the year and then begin in the second semester. Our students are funded, and so that programming is supported, and this is important for folks to know in community. Staffing to support those students is taken out of that funding and designations and so on. And so those students are served well. I found the data fascinating about the number of students who transition out of the sanctuaries program because their immigration status has changed. So they remain with our system, but their enrollment type changes. And then, of course, others who move across country or to other countries, and that's all. Well, that's life, and it's interesting and exciting. There are successes to be celebrated. You can see those at the bottom or at the end of the report. We're getting better at meeting students and quickly identifying their needs and placing them. So between 2 and 5 days of first meeting them at the Welcome Center, they're in their schools, and we're starting to program with them and for them. And so that owes greatly to Leslie and the team, but also to the schools themselves, Rhonda and everyone wrapping their arms around kiddos quickly and getting them. I think that timeline is impressive to me, the work that they do. All in, I think that that the schools are accomplishing and the system is accomplishing what the board intended with the policy, and I'm really proud of what we as an organization do, and kudos to Leslie for helping make that speed and efficiency a part of the way she works, but care is huge. So
Questions and comments, Trustee Connolly?
Just quickly, I feel like I probably asked this before, and there's an answer out there, but just on page 12 of 14, page 2 of the document, saying that the postcards are available in English and Spanish. I'm just curious if there was a reason why we stop at those languages, or are those the ones that tend to be the most utilized?
I would have to find the answer for you. I'd have to ask. Yeah.
Thanks.
Trustee Andres?
Yeah, I love this program. I think it's really important work. I'm curious. I'm just looking on page 13, and it says that support in schools, we provide students confidential access to mental health supports. I was just curious if those mental health supports are coming from district, or are those funded through another program like Mosaic, or and provincial, federal, kind of what's the breakdown there?
So my understanding is that it's a combination of all of that. That they'll work to pathfind supports so they being staff in our schools will work to pathfind those supports, but it is a combination of partners and staff.
Thank you.
Trustee Slynn?
Thanks. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say, before becoming a trustee, I didn't know what a sanctuary school was. And I just think this is so incredible that we're able to provide kids and families like a sense of normalcy, especially like if they're coming from a place where their worlds have been flipped upside down. And this is just awesome. And I'd really like to, just kudos to Leslie, the team, and just everybody that's giving these kids and these families like a chance to find a path forward. So.
Trustee Sluice?
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. This is a really important program. And Trustee Slynn, I don't know if you know this, but this school district, championed by Maya, was the one to introduce sanctuary schools across the province. And there are many districts, I think, now that have a sanctuary schools policy, which is pretty cool. I'm not, I guess, surprised by the numbers, given what we learned about our enrollment this year and about how significant the ELL component of that growth was. So just noting the need to ensure that we have the appropriate supports available, because it's of course it's attending school as a first step, and then there's a lot of other supports that come along, and so yeah, just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thanks, everybody. I love that we do this report, because I think it's also a tool for advocates out in the community to take back to other districts. There remain significant obstacles to registering for school in a number of urban districts. And so, yeah, hope we keep talking it up and encouraging districts to tackle those barriers, because as we have seen, the kids are in the community, and so they should be at school. Okay, any other questions or comments? Seeing none, we are at item 6, question period, and questions to the chair on matters from the meeting. Welcome, Christy Oxley.
Hi, Christy Oxley, NWTU. I've got a few questions, so maybe I'll just kind of go through them and just tell me to pause if you need me to. Taking a look at the facilities grant report, I noticed that interior classroom renos for increased enrollment was listed, and it was allocated 25,000. Just wondering if we have an idea of where those funds are going, or that's just to be sort of a slush in case we need. And also to keep bringing up my sort of pet question, which is, will any of that be allocated to that wall between the computer lab and the library at Kakite? In terms of, oh, and then I also noticed the 245,000, I think it was, for portable site prep. And again, I'm unclear, have heard repeatedly that Spencer is going to be decreasing by a division. It sounds like it might be 2 divisions at this point. And of course, we've got Kakite that's increasing. So is there a possibility of maybe reclaiming some of that money and looking at students being able to fill those spaces that will be empty over at Spencer? So those are my 2 facilities grant questions. And then beyond that, I know that it's been noted by the board that international education actually generates revenue, and that we really don't want to see that revenue go away. We also don't want to deprive anybody of an opportunity to come to US schools and learn from other countries. But I also have to point out that, of course, we've gone to a 5-block model in order to accommodate students. We've moved our career life education and career life connections programs online. We're into hybrid mode to allow for additional space. We had classes that were enrolled to 33 or so students, actually quite a few over the last year. So when I hear that the goal is 180 students for next year, do we have actually the capacity to provide that? And I'm kind of embarrassed to admit that I've never asked this question before, but how much money does international education actually generate? And then when we take off the top all of the pieces that make it self-sustaining, the amount that's spent on staffing, which I'm assuming comes out of those funds, and for marketing and all of the other incidentals, how much is actually going back into our program?
Okay, great. There's a number of questions there. Let's start with maybe the AFG, which I cannot answer. Secretary Treasurer, yeah, go for it.
I think I could probably just list them off. I took some notes. So just on the renovation, there is a nominal amount set aside. It is to share some space at Connaught. There's a new division going in there, and so a shared space between the after-school care program and a classroom will be taking place, and so it's extra cabinetry and some sprucing up, some paint, things of that nature. That is a practice that we have across the district to share those spaces and really utilize them as best as we can before, during, and after school. On the portable, okay, the question was, trigger me, Christy.
The $250,000 on
yes,
portable
yes,
sites.
yes.
Prep, Spencer's down 2
Yes,
divisions.
that's right. Thank you, Maya. Yeah, so for this year, the purchases of portables strategically has been committed. We wanted to purchase the portables because the cost of them are rising. We do have a plan for Spencer. That plan will be brought forward to the board in the early fall, and some further consultation next year. Some more to come on that, Christy. And then on the international capacity, there is, in reverse order, the amount that program brings in is probably just shy of $1 million net after teacher costs and variable costs as relates to staffing. So quite a significant component of that does help to fund other operational priorities and services around the district. In terms of capacity, it is an area we're continuing to monitor. Because of the 5-block, it has opened up the opportunity for spaces to bring in international. So that was sort of part of the plan. As our district grows further, there will be a scaled reduction of international to levels to meet the demand of students. So obviously the priority will be our local students, and any space remaining we would offer to the international program.
Thank you. Can I ask a follow-up question that can be answered at some later date? Is there any idea how much it would actually cost to build that wall at Kakite?
Superintendent Davidson.
So there's two questions there. One is the cost, and then what is the cost of potentially building the wall and then tearing them all down in order to cannibalize that space for a classroom? So one of the things that we're thinking about is you don't want to invest in modifying a space that you may very well modify a year later. Obviously, that's not a decision made. We've seen in this region some pretty significant changes in enrollment trends. Some that expected slight growth experienced decline in enrollment of, 12 students or zero growth. But we're really wanting to be mindful of putting money into modifying a space that you may further modify within a year or two. And so I think we just want to be cautious about making that kind of change.
So I appreciate that. I do. It's just, of course, I hear it repeatedly over and over, just exactly how tight it is at Kakite, and the fact that we keep adding and we have this space that could potentially be utilized. But I understand that additional consultation. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Andres?
Just hearing from NWTU and recognizing that Spencer is shrinking and Kakite is growing. I know the board had committed, I think 3 years ago with the funding announcement to not address catchment boundaries. I'm curious if there's an opportunity potentially to save on some of the costs that we're paying for portable placements. I'm not really sure how disruptive that process is for families and school communities. And I was just wondering if that's part of an upcoming conversation or if we could talk briefly about that.
Superintendent Davidson, can I ask you to take that?
Yeah, you bet. And I'll probably ask Bettina to jump in as well. But so I think it's this coming fall, we'll work to do a review of our capital planning as well as a review of boundaries that would align with that. So we need to do a full examination of what our enrollment trends are across the system. Some of the things we need to consider too are, how are we using existing spaces? If we move students from one place to another, have we shifted their future enrollment in terms of middle school? Do they leave their friends and then come back to them? So we want to try and have whatever we build be something that we build that we'll be able to hold to over the long term so that families aren't disrupted and then disrupted again. And that'll require a thoughtful review. So that's why we're reluctant to do much in the way of flipping young people from one space and then back to another. We want to be really sort of deliberate and bring to the board a plan that would say over the next 6 years, 7 years, this is where we see that movement coming. Other things that we're waiting on, of course, that impact that are capital announcements, because our enrollment capacity is local, but it's also system-wide. And we need to consider what changes new schools, when announced, will have on the decisions that you make as a board down the road.
Thank you.
Bettina, is that?
It was a lovely response, Mark.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
So sort of follow-up question. I know that the staff at Kakite have expressed some questions around the storage that's being kept there. So I do understand that there's a large amount of some form of storage that is taking up space there. The other thing that I hear from that school is just that need for either sensory space or really just a place to take a group of students for resource support. If we have temporarily extra space at another school, is it possible to maybe shift some of that storage someplace else for a year and utilize some of that storage space for just as needed uses, not even necessarily like renovation, just an extra space?
Superintendent Davidson?
Certainly something that we can look at. I'd responded to your email. There's a couple of things we need to figure out. First of all, that space was actually built as storage, and it's big, but it's storage. So we don't know if ventilation is appropriate to have people working in that space. So that's something that Matt and his team are looking into. If it is appropriate to be used in a different way, then absolutely we can take a look at whether or not we can shift material from there. But we of course don't want to shift it and then have people working in a space that isn't appropriate for them. So first we need to find out whether it's reasonable to have young people and staff working there. If it is, then we'll work on finding a space for those things.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't see any other speakers online or in person. So I'm gonna take us to number 8, adjournment. Ask for a meeting to adjourn, a motion to adjourn, please. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you and good night.